Welcome to the channel, guys, and today's video is 5 common mistakes that you guys might be doing inside Football Manager. In at number 1, we have every single option on the tactics screen getting selected. And what I mean by that is everything on the left-hand side has to be picked. It doesn't. It can actually be very, very, very counterproductive. So if you guys are just making sure everything's on, which is like short passing, higher tempo, play for set pieces, shoot on sight, play out of defence, that will mean that your players will do that more often than not. Sometimes the best thing to do is to let your players decide what's best rather than pigeonholing them in to a decision. So for example, run at defence. If you click on run at defence, most of your attacking players are going to run at the defence. What if out of your 5 attacking players or 4 attacking players, 2 of them can dribble and 2 of them can't? Well, what you can do is you can go into their player instructions and click dribble more instead of run at defence, and then what you're doing is you're making a winger with 11 dribbling and a striker with 10 dribbling because he's more of a target man. You're asking him to dribble. You don't need to do it. Keep it more short and sweet on the team instructions, and everything will be better because you won't be pigeonholing your players into one type of football. Another point to add to this is in transition, a lot of players and the majority of players seem to click counter press and counter as standard. Now that could be very, very bad as well, because if you're playing against a big team away from home, you might not want to counter press. Do you want to really ask your players to chase the ball and then they will just knock it around you with their superior players and then you're left with 2-on-2 at the back or 3-on-2 at the back? Probably not. Now, do you want to regroup? Maybe not as well. You might not want to go that deep and that defensive, but you might just want to leave it off and then let the players decide. If it's there to be won, they might go and do it. If it's there not to, and there's no point doing that 15-meter run, then they won't do it. The next part about this one, the last part about the tip number 1, well, mistake number 1, is when possession has been won. Now, I don't see hardly anyone click hold shape, and I see the majority again click counter. Now, if you decide to tick neither of these two, your players will still do both of these things. Again, they will decide themselves what to do with their decision making and all that good stuff, the mental attributes of your players. If you want them to counter pretty much every time they get the ball and they think there's a chance, they will do it every single time and you click it. But if you decide that you're wasting the ball when you win it a lot, just take it off and you will still see counter-attacks, I promise, but you will also see your players use their brains and they'll decide which is the best one to do. Number 2, and we are still on the tactical screen. Number 2 is if you're winning, you don't automatically have to go shut up shop and park the bus. What that'll do is if you're winning 2-0 and it's like 60th minute, and then you're panicking because you're like, I really need to win this game, and you all of a sudden just drag everything back, low block, low defensive line, less pressing, and then you're bringing players back and you're just doing this, and you're wanting 5 at the back, and you're wanting this, and you're putting everyone on defensive duty. You are just asking your entire team to sit at the edge of the box and just let crosses come in, get set pieces. Ricochets on this year's FM is a big thing inside the box. Please don't do it. Make subtle changes. If, for example, you start with a 4-3-3 like I do, like this, maybe what you could do is maybe just instead of wing back, maybe just go to full back. Or if you're an inside forward on attack, maybe you just go to support. Maybe on the tactical instructions, maybe you just lower the tempo slightly just to calm the game down. Maybe you don't counter-attack as much. Maybe you try and hold the possession. Maybe you don't counter-press and be out of position when they get the ball. Just subtle little changes. You don't have to do big ones and just drag everyone back, everyone to defend. Maybe if you're 2-0 up with 3 minutes left, that might be fine. But don't do that for any longer than 5 minutes in game. I would recommend. It just won't work. It will just ask for it. I mean, it might work, right? It might. But more often than not, you are asking for your team to concede a goal. Coming in at number 3 is picking your player roles based on the star ratings. Let's say, for example, you have 2 4-star Mazzalas. Are you just going to stick them both in and both on the Mazzala role? Yes, it might work, but more often than not, 2 Mazzalas in the same midfield, unless you've got an extraordinary team, is asking your defensive midfielder to do a lot of work again. If it's not Rodri or prime Sergio Busquets, you're probably asking for a bit much. So just because you have 4-star players in the Mazzala role doesn't mean you have to play 2 Mazzalas, because that might not be the most balanced thing for your tactic. You don't have to pick based on the star ratings. Sometimes a Mazzala and a playmaker like I've got, sometimes a box-to-box and a central midfielder will work just fine. You will find that the best roles for your tactic is what work together, not individually. So does your inside forward work with the advanced playmaker? Does your Mazzala work with your inverted winger? Does your wing back work with a wide midfielder? Does your shadow striker work with an advanced forward? Have a look at it in game, see if it works together, and pick based on that. Don't pick based on the star ratings. Now, going forward in your games, maybe you could pick, you could get a settled tactic and then find players for that said role in your team, and then probably your best star ratings will be in those roles. But probably at the start of the game, the first season or two, while you're finding your feet with your tactic and tweaking it a little bit, don't do that with the star ratings, please. Just use them as a guide. It's not the be-all and end-all, and often it will lead to very misguided and misjointed tactics, and it's just something that just won't work long-term. In at number 4 is, please max out your staff allocations. So as you can see here, I have 9 coach slots, and I have got 9 coaches. Please always fulfill these things. Now I've got 2 scout spots because I can't find the right scouts that I want yet because I'm still in Serie B. When I get up to Serie A, and I'll probably get more scout spots and better scouts wanting to join, I will then max that out. 8 is absolutely fine for a second tier club. Look, this is probably the most important one on the medical side of things. So if you can have 3 sports scientists, please do the 3 sports scientists because that will lead to less injuries. The same with the physios. If you can have 6 or 7 physios, get 6 or 7 physios because that if a player does get injured, physios basically reduce the time that they are injured. So over the course of a season, it will make a massive difference to the entirety of your season in terms of results. So please max this out. Whether it's coaches, whether it's physios, whether it's sports scientists, whether it's scouts, you don't have to worry as much about director of footballs and technical directors if you do everything yourself. But the other things that look after each other in the background, which, like I said, the medical staff and the coaching, please max them all out. It's something that people underutilize, and then they worry about injuries or the players not getting any better. It's just very, very important. So max it out whenever you can. And the last common mistake that people make is when they are bidding for a player. Let's take Diego Coppola, for example, here. They like to suggest terms almost straight away. And what will happen is you'll get hit with this one here. Percentage of profit from next sale. Now, it's something I discussed last year on the videos. But now, look, I can't get rid of that. I am now doomed to the fact that if I buy Diego Coppola, I have to, if he really plays well for me and I have to sell him for 50, 60 million to maybe Juventus or someone, I am going to lose 40% of the profit. Please always do what I'm about to do. Cancel the offer, go back in for him, transfer, and go in here, click on it, click the little minus button, and then remove from negotiation and exclude it. Because now when you suggest terms, it isn't there. And you will not lose money down the line. The amount of money that people lose from percentage of profits is crazy. If you're selling a player for 60, 70 million, you want the entirety of the 60, 70 million. Please don't make that mistake. It is very, very, very crucial. And that's it for the 5 common mistakes. If you guys like the video, please leave a like down below and subscribe too. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you then. Goodbye.